Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our event today. My name is Sam. I work at the Office for National Statistics, and I'll be chairing this webinar. Thank you for joining us today. So before we start, I'm going to cover a few housekeeping updates. With the number of you joining us today, you will not be able to turn on your cameras or microphones for the duration of this webinar, and the Microsoft Teams chat function has been turned off. We will be having a Q&A session with our panel after the main presentation has finished. So if you would like to ask the team any questions, please do this through Slido. I will give you some instructions on the next slide on how to do this. So this webinar is being recorded and it will be made available on YouTube afterwards. We will also share a copy of these slides with attendees. Everyone who signed up to the webinar will receive these links once today's recording is available. We haven't received any requests in advance for this webinar to be provided in the Welsh language, so this webinar will be in English today. Our topic experts are English speakers. However, I do appreciate we may have attendees of this webinar who work with colleagues in Welsh. When we circulate the English slides, we can also share Welsh language versions for you to use. If you are using the Microsoft Teams app and you would like to turn on live captions for this webinar, please click on the More button at the top of your screen. For those of you who haven't used this before, it's the button with the 3 dots to the left of your camera button. Once you've clicked More, scroll down to Languages and Speech, and then select the option to show live captions. So as I mentioned on the previous slide, if you would like to ask our speakers any questions, you will be able to do this through Slido. You can use your phone to scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can head over to slido.com and using the code 2031, you can access the questions. If you're using the desktop Microsoft Teams app, you can have the option to make Slido appear within Teams. So to do this, click the S Slido button at the top of the screen and a Slido pane will appear. The Slido code's in the footer of every slide, so don't worry if you miss it. We will try and answer as many questions as possible in the Q&A session in the time we have left after the presentation. And you will be able to upvote any questions from attendees that you particularly want the panel to answer. So I'm delighted to introduce you to our 2 ONS speakers, Jay Lindop and Michelle Waters. In a moment, I'll hand over to Jay, who will start off the webinar with a welcome and an introduction. Then Michelle will share some more details on why the ONS is running this consultation and how you can complete a response. We are also joined today by Alice Toms, who is part of the Government Statistical Service harmonisation team. She will give a brief overview of the ethnicity harmonisation consultation, which you can also respond to. So thank you once again for joining. I'll now hand over to Jay to get us started. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, and afternoon, everyone. As Sam said, I'm Jay Lindop. I lead the Population, Harmonisation and User Needs team within ONS. And firstly, just thanks to everyone that's made the time today to hear more about our topic consultation, which is, of course, now live. Just a little bit of background for those that don't know, a decision was taken earlier this year for ONS to carry out a census in 2031. And following that decision, we immediately started the work to undertake a topic consultation in autumn. And it went live, for those that don't know, on October the 28th. So to put it really simply, a topic consultation is a critical activity in the delivery of a census. The analysis of the responses, evaluating demographic user needs, will help support the prioritisation of topics that will be included in the census, considering factors such as public acceptability, respondent burden, etc. And it will also more broadly support future development of administrative data and harmonisation. This work will also provide valuable input as census questions are developed. I should also say that given the considerable value a topic consultation adds to census delivery, we are working really closely with devolved governments to make sure we're aligned, supporting coherence across all the nations. But that's probably enough from me as a way of introduction. I'm now going to hand over to Michelle, who will talk more about what the topic consultation entails and how you can help us help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I'm Michelle Waters and I'm leading the topic consultation and evaluation. I'm going to give you an overview of the topic consultation, how you can get involved, and I'll cover what happens when the consultation closes. Next slide, please. So the census in England and Wales is undertaken every 10 years by the Office for National Statistics. It's a compulsory exercise for everyone to complete, and the census questions ask about you, your household and your home. The decisions based on census touch everyone's lives. Census 21 benefits included providing data for public service planning, enabling businesses to make strategic decisions, supporting charities in their funding applications, and assisting researchers and individuals with their work. We are running the topic consultation to actively seek feedback and ensure we fully understand the needs of census topic data for 2031 to maximise its benefits. Next slide, please. So, why are we having a consultation? So the ONS already has extensive knowledge about the needs for population and migration data, informed by ongoing engagement, the development work we do, and also the engagement through the 2023 consultation. But we are building on those existing needs to support development of our views on what topics should be included for 2031. As society changes, our statistics need to evolve to reflect those new realities and meet emerging needs. The topic consultation provides the opportunity for everyone to tell us what their needs are for the census. And we really want responses from the consultation to reflect the real world needs of data users across sectors to capture both those enduring and emerging priorities. And we are building a robust, inclusive evidence base to support the strong decisions we need to make on the topic inclusion for the 2031 census. Next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, so I would encourage you to read the topic consultation document, which is in the topic consultation webpage, which sets out the details of the consultation, our initial view with what topics will be included in the census. And in the context of the census consultation, the topic we talk about topic groupings. What we mean by that is the topics which are grouped by themes, such as those on the slide here, but they don't only include these groupings. These are some examples. And that within these topic groupings, for instance, housing, there are a number of different topics, including number of rooms, central heating, type of housing. The topic consultation document produces the initial view of what topics may be covered in the next census and asks users within the consultation questionnaire about the needs related to each of these topics. We're asking about all the topics that were included within the 2021 census, and we're also asking about some potentially new areas, including type of disability and income. But there is also the opportunity to ask any new topic within the questionnaire. So there is a section you can add anything you also think you have a need for. Next slide, please. So we are very early in the census development roadmap at the moment, at the design selection stage, with the launch of the topic consultation this year. And then ONS next year will publish a full responsive consultation outlining our updated view on what topics should be included, excluded, or requires further work. We will also publish ONS's next steps for developing census content and questions. There are then stages of question development. There is a census test and rehearsal, and final topics and questions to be included will be in secondary legislation following the same process as in the 2021 census. After Census Day in 2031, the headline estimates and outputs will be produced. Next slide, please. So while ONS are administering the consultation for England and Wales, Scotland's census is administered by National Records for Scotland, and Northern Ireland by the Northern Ireland Statistics Research Agency. But we're working in collaboration across the UK with Welsh Government, NOS and NISRA through a variety of forums to ensure that censuses can accurately reflect the UK population. We're doing this through working groups to share learnings, consider the consultation approach and evaluation, think about the consultation content where feasible. There were also discussions around strategic designs of censuses. And we also are working to kind of bring in expert knowledge on the topics. And we're doing this to strengthen our ability to produce coherent UK population statistics from the 2031 censuses. NISWA's consultation is currently open, and they would welcome your input too, and NOS's consultation closed yesterday. So we're on a similar time frame. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give you some practical advice on completing the consultation in this section. Next slide, please. So the consultation launched on the 28th of October and it will close on the 4th of February 2026. You can fill out the form as an organisation or as an individual. There's actually on the consultation citizen space page, there is a Word version if you want to fill it out as an organisation that can support you bringing, you can download that and share that across your organisation to bring the information together. But we do encourage you to complete and submit responses online wherever is possible. But alternative forms are available as well, if including large print Welsh and the Word document. Next slide, please. So what questions are being asked? So the consultation seeks evidence and feedback from users to decide which topics should be included on Census 2031. The purpose for it to be used for. We'll ask about the alternative data you use, what geographic levels, whether you need multivariate analysis or looking for small population groups, whether you're looking for comparisons across the time or across the UK. But you don't need to answer about every topic, only those where you have used or have a need for the use of that topic data. The online questionnaire will skip past the topics. If you say you don't use that topic, it will skip past though and support you kind of answering the sections that you need. There are also questions around that will support our kind of understanding on the needs for data for communal establishments. It will also support the prioritisation of work beyond census, such as statistics based on admin data, administrative data and harmonised standards. But at this stage, we're not asking for views on questions. We're really asking for topics. The census question designs come after, once we really fully understand that user need. But the evidence you provide will help develop those work plans and consider that future question design of work. Next slide, please. So what are we looking for? So I would say, what is a good response from the topic consultation that will really help us understand needs and do the analysis evaluations we need to. So we would ask you to clearly explain why you need the data. We'd ask you to provide the detailed descriptions and the real world examples of how the data will be used. Please identify gaps or limitations with the current data and suggest new topics or improvements to existing ones. Whenever you can, please provide any supporting evidence or references if you have those available. Next slide, please. So I'm now going to describe the next steps after we've closed the consultation and we have your responses. Next slide. Thanks, Sam. So we started our work in May this year, building on what we know and developing content for the consultation. The consultation launched in October 28th, and we'll be working through autumn and winter to encourage responses to the consultation. And once we close, we'll quickly work to produce a USED report, which are likely to be published around April. This will be high-level details of what topics have been requested and the stakeholders that have requested them. We'll then be publishing topic reports in 2026, which will detail our evaluations and our updated view on whether a topic should be included or not, and that will be late summer. Next slide, please. So you may ask, how will then make decisions on the topics, what topics will be included, and how will that your input will support that. So we have an evaluation criteria for topics and content for the 2031 for the Census 2031, and they are sort of the foundation of our sort of transparent, consistent, evidence-based decision making for the inclusion of topics and to support the development of future census content. The census cannot include every possible topic because it's got to balance the needs, user needs, with the practicalities and feasibilities of costs, respondent burdens, space, data quality. The evaluation criteria support the prioritization of topics, optimizing the societal benefits, considering whether census is the most appropriate method for collecting the data or not. The evaluation criteria have a proven track record. They're similar to the criteria that were successfully used in 2011 and 2021, and a similar approach is being used by NISVA and NRS for their consultations. ONUS will publish we have already published a description within the consultation documents to support users with providing us the information we need for the user requirements, but we will provide a more detailed description once the consultation closes. There are three main categories within the consultation, within the evaluation criteria: user requirements, other considerations, and operational requirements. I'm going to go into the user requirements on the next slide, but I'm going to first of all just really briefly give you an overview of the operational requirements and other considerations. So operational requirements consider what topics will be needed to successfully operationalize the census. Some may be needed to support coverage of the census, support derived variables, or support routing around questions. So that group of criteria help us make decisions around those things that are needed for those reasons. The other considerations are factors such as data quality, cost, respondent burden that guide census content alongside user requirements. These influence inclusions of topics and questionnaire developments, ensuring that we only have questions where we can reliably and accurately measure the topic or theme that we need to. Next slide, please. The user requirements are how we'll assess, largely how we'll assess the consultation responses, and they follow much of the same questions as I explained earlier. So we need the information from people, respondents to the consultation, on sort of what is the purpose, what is the reason for collecting this data, and the descriptions around, is that for resource allocation, service planning, research, so having descriptions of how that's used and why is helpful there. We then have criteria which relate to the benefits of census. So these are things like what geographies you need, what analysis will you do, what comparisons do you need to undertake with the data. And then there are considerations around alternative sources of data and what is available within those topics. Next slide. So I'm going to pass to Alice now, who's going to cover the ethnicity harmonised consultation.
Thanks very much, Michelle. Hi, everyone. So alongside, we can go on to the next slide, Sam. Thank you. Alongside the topic consultation, the Government Statistical Service, or GSS, is also running a consultation on ethnicity. So the aim of this consultation is to gather views on additional tick box response options, which might be required for a new harmonised standard for collecting data on ethnic group or ethnicity. The consultation, much like the topic consultation, launched on the 28th of October, and again, like the topic consultation, it will close on the 4th of February. Harmonised standards include definitions, survey questions and other information which producers of statistics can use to align with others, which will increase the usefulness of their statistics. So the Government Statistical Service covers organisations and individuals across the UK, so Scotland, Northern Ireland, England and Wales. And for that reason, for the GSS ethnicity consultation, we are seeking responses from users across all UK nations as well. Both the topic consultation and the GSS consultation will ask questions about ethnicity data. And so if you do use ethnicity data in England and Wales, we would encourage you to complete both consultations, as they will both inform the way that data on ethnic group are collected in Census 2031 in England and Wales. The new ethnicity harmonised standard will be recommended for use by data collectors across the GSS, including teams working on the UK censuses in 2031. And we do expect census officers across the UK will consider the standard that we recommend when developing their census questions. And we do expect the relevant census question to align to that standard in England and Wales as well. Much like this one, we'll be running a webinar to kind of go into a bit more detail about the ethnicity consultation, explain and discuss a little bit more about what that involves next week. So that's happening on Monday the 17th, and you can sign up in the same way that you would have signed up for this webinar. So if you do have any questions on the ethnicity consultation specifically, or you'd like to learn more about that work, then please do join us there. I think that's all from me. I'll keep it short and sweet, so I'll hand back over to Sam now.
Thank you so much to Jay, Michelle and Alice. We're now going to move on to the Q&A section where we'll have time to go through the questions you've asked throughout the event. Thank you so much to everyone who's engaged with this event so far and submitted a question. As I mentioned at the start, we will be answering questions in popularity order, so please do upvote the questions you most want answered. As well as Jay, Michelle and Alice, we also have Jess Midgley joining the panel, and she is here to answer any questions you have about census engagement. I appreciate that we may not have time today to answer everyone's question, and if we don't have time for your question, you can always contact the team using the email address that's up on the screen now. So that's census2031.engagement@ons.gov.uk. So let's have a look at the first question. So the most popular question at this point is, in light of the announcement today from your permanent secretary, how will his changes affect the topic consultation and the future of the census? Jay, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, I can do. Thank you. And very eagle-eyed of everyone to see the announcement that's come out today. So glad that we've got this event to answer this question. So to support the recovery and the quality of ONS statistics, as you've rightly said, we've published a plan today to narrow the scope of our portfolio, and we're looking to make changes to our statistics too. But I think the key thing to note here is our immediate priority is to deliver trustworthy, independent and high quality statistics, particularly focused on our prices, GDP, labour market and population. And it's that population which also includes prioritising preparations for Census 2031. So we do believe changes are essential to enable ONS to restore confidence in the quality of our core statistics, but it won't affect the topic consultation and future census other than giving us more renewed focus on it. So if anything, it will make it better.
Fab, thank you so much, Jay. I'm just looking at the next question, which is, I think, what are the implications for population data and the reconsideration of the annual population survey's merits in yesterday's, I think this is the announcement that came out this morning, our ONS prioritisation announcement. Jay, is that one for you again?
Yeah, and I can just sort of repeat what's in the statement really. So, of course, subnational statistics provide a really critical evidence base for local decision making, and they do increase the value of ONS wider outputs by reflecting them at sort of, the different local and regional levels. But there are recognised quality concerns on the APS, and there's been some withdrawal of external funding, which means that the collection of APS boost data in Scotland will cease in January. So the first thing we're going to do is reach out to key users to understand how the APS data are being used, the impact of the reduced quality, and whether additional quality guidance will be valuable, and think about how that fits with the rest of our priorities.
Great, thank you, Jay. Next question is, will there also be an opportunity to feedback on census tools, etc., as well as the topics? For example, feedback on the custom table builder. Jay, is that one for you and Michelle?
We are, so at this point, we're looking at the topics and the consultation around that. There will be a output consultation. For 2021, we did have, I think we had 2 output consultations, and we, at the moment, we're working through plans for what, when that will be. So there will be that opportunity, as well as ongoing engagement around what is going to be most useful for data users.
Thanks, Michelle. The next question is there work underway to improve the questions on sex and gender identity that failed in 2021, led to the statistics being withdrawn or labelled unreliable? Jay, I'll come over to you.
I think this is probably more for Alice.
Apologies,
Yes.
Alice.
No, that's okay. So I can't speak to Census specifically, but the Government Statistical Service harmonisation team is currently working to review standards on sex and also gender identity to improve the consistency across surveys for those topics. So there's lots of research going on and testing with diverse groups at the moment to kind of better understand the needs for those questions and what they might look like in the future.
And then, of course, similar with ethnicity, the census will be looking at the harmonised standards that the GSS teams set, and we expect them to be looking at the different questions that they'll ask in the census once we finish the topic consultation as well, which will include sex and gender identity.
Thank you so much, both. How will the ONS engage with conceptual ideas such as wellness, overall health, emotion, perceptions, etc.? Michelle, is that one that I'll take to you first?
So I would say the topic consultation, there is the opportunity to add and sort of new topics that we can consider for 2031. So I would suggest that if those are concepts people would like more information on, then please do fill in the consultation and put the information around that. We have sort of health questions within there already. We are looking at that consultation as well. If there are things that don't fit within the kind of census area, we are looking at alternative other prioritisation too. So I would say fill out the consultation and we will evaluate that alongside the other responses.
Thanks, Michelle. Next question is, how will ONS work with devolved governments on Census 2031?
That one's for me. So NRS, NISRA, ONS and Welsh Government have a really strong track record of collaboration in census delivery. And indeed, our colleagues in NISRA, so the Northern Ireland Statistics and Research Agency, they've currently got their own topic consultation that's open right now, which launched on the same day as the English and Welsh topic consultation. Scotland's topic consultation just closed, I think it was yesterday, on the 11th of November. So the 4 nations' work topic consultations were running alongside each other, and that was quite deliberate because we in ONS meet regularly with colleagues across the UK to share plans and learning and to align evaluation criteria where appropriate as well. So as I say, regularly meeting, regularly talking and working really closely together.
Thank you, Jay. So the next question is, are you relying on us to tell you what data we rely on to meet our legislative regulatory needs? And then they flag that this is a public sector local government question. So Michelle, yes.
Oh, sorry. So I would ask that if you're using it for those legislative requirements, yes, in your consultation response, please detail the data you need for those and why you need it. we do, I think that will feed in and is part of our evaluation around needs related to those kind of needs.
Thank you, Michelle. So please can you clarify the level of request / recommendation you want? To what degree are you looking for draft questions, and to what degree general subjects in responses? So Michelle, I'll come over to you.
Sure. So we are really looking for detailed descriptions of how you use the data, how and why you need it, to enable us to kind of really assess the impact of the data if it was available. We are not looking at this point for you to draft questions. The question design will be later, but we want to understand the needs so that we're able to kind of ensure that any solution we have around those questions is considered. If the current data doesn't meet your needs, please also provide the details of kind of why that is, and how that could be changed.
Thank you, Michelle. With today's announcement that the ONS will be reducing sub-national data, will consideration be given to incorporating questions that come from those sources? So I think, Jay, you've touched on this a little bit. I wonder if a little bit more detail for this question.
Yeah, and I think, again, it comes back to being really clear in the topic consultation what you need and why you need it, exactly as Michelle just described. And part of the evaluation will be looking at what alternative data are available. So obviously, if there are some that were available but are no longer, that would be part of the considerations when we're deciding on which topics to include and at what levels.
Thanks, Jay. Do you want to cover the next one as well?
It's just because it's also about geography levels.
Yeah, fab, thank you.
So Michelle alluded to the outputs consultations that were done for the last census. There was actually 3. So there was a general outputs consultation, which we'll be almost certainly replicating. And then there was 2 further consultations much closer to the census date itself, one of which was particularly looking at geographic levels. And so while we can't guarantee we'll be doing something exactly the same, we are looking at our output strategy very soon, and as part of that, thinking about how we consult on the different geography levels. So we will be picking that up going forward.
I could also just add, sorry, to the geography one, that there is a section on geography within the consultation document as topic consultation as well. So there'll be an opportunity in both to provide feedback.
Yeah, I think, Stephen, just really important that you outline that in your response to the topic consultation. Next question is, local government reorganisation will see a large number of local authorities merged. The data requirements from the 2031 census may well be different once this, I think this is saying sort of like once the reorganisation has happened, our needs might be different. So yeah, I'll come to Michelle. Do you have any advice for sort of local government colleagues on how to respond to the consultation in light of maybe reorganisation?
So I would suggest you include your current needs, your expected future needs, but I'd also like to say that the development of census, this is the first stage, and we will continue to kind of engage through our development. So there will be opportunities to feed in as both outputs and questions and content are developed.
Jess, I wonder if also we can talk a little bit about engagement with local authorities throughout this process as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to flag that we are still shaping what engagement looks like for census in 2031, but we know that in 2021 engagement with local authorities was absolutely critical, and a huge thank you to everybody that continued the conversation throughout the census process in 2021. We will absolutely want to continue those conversations as we look towards 2031. We just want to have a little look at how that best fits, and the shape and channels that are best to use, really. I know there are lots of existing groups in terms of the census advisory groups and lots of other topic experts that have really supported us. So we are absolutely looking at all of those channels and how you can best feed in, because the insight is really valuable.
Thanks so much. Next question is, how will travel to work questions incorporate hybrid working? This is an area where there has been a real gap. It's such an interesting question post COVID-19. So Michelle.
So it's an interesting question, and something if you in the topic consultation document, where we've gone through topic by topic on areas where we think we need more information, this is one of the areas that we know that we are likely to want to do more work. So it's worth providing the information of your need around hybrid working to allow us to ensure that we are within that travel section, to allow us to kind of consider those needs, and that work will kind of feed into our next steps for development of that content going forward.
Thank you, Michelle. So the next question is, will you make the 2031 census results available free of charge from the outset? Michelle, I'll come to you for that one.
I'm not sure I'm able to answer that. I don't know whether Jay...
I can come in on that. So we typically make aggregate census data free of charge anyway, so that won't change. We will also look at the tools that we make available. Like last time we had a flexible table builder. Where we tend to charge is if there's like really custom tables that are needed that are like way beyond perhaps what we would normally make available, and then there is sometimes a charge. But typically census results, particularly aggregate level and the sort of high level results, are free from the outset.
Thanks, Jay. So someone said, I can't see a Word or PDF version of the questions online to see the questions. Is there a way to avoid going through all of the online consultation questions and copying them into Word? So yes, there is. Michelle, I'll come to you because you did touch on this in your presentation, so maybe a little bit more about the Word version of the topic consultation.
Yeah, so at the bottom of the consultation citizen space page, there are a number of links, and on there is a Word version that you can download and share and fill in, so you don't need to copy them off. If you're not able to find that, then just I guess email the engagement team. I'm sure Sam will share that contact detail and we'll make sure you can get that.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. What we can do is we'll be sending an email after the event, and we can post a link to the Word version so people can find it easily. And that leads nicely on to, will we be sharing slides? Yes, we will. We'll share slides after the webinar is complete. So the next question is, does the consultation talk about those topics that can now be collected using administrative data sources rather than via the census? Michelle, can you touch on that question?
Yeah, the consultation document talks about some areas where we might be considering admin data, which includes income and number of rooms. We will kind of work around admin data will kind of be considered alongside the development once we understand the needs for data.
Thank you, Michelle. So, can there be opinion questions as well as questions which describe characteristics of the population, perhaps people's views on any particular topic? Michelle.
So generally we avoid the opinion questions and collect the more kind of information of the population. So, there is a limited ability to for the topic consultation. I think it's still something that you could sort of highlight as depending on what that might be, but generally it does include questions where we would be looking for your opinion.
Thank you, Michelle. So given local government changes, I assume this is boundary changes, will previous census be reworked? Yeah, okay, for new boundaries to give trends. Jay, is that one that you can
I can
touch on.
probably only partially answer it. We might want to take that one away. And Sam, I think you said you would share the inbox email for anyone that has follow-up questions. So this might be one of them. What I will say is we're looking in ONS at how those local government changes are affecting the statistics and thinking about what that means for our data. I don't think any decisions have been taken yet, or certainly not that I know of. So let's say it might be that I can get a more full answer if we take that one away.
Great, thanks, Jay. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, and the last slide, I'll share the email address again, but also we will be emailing everybody afterwards. So yeah, just click reply to that email once it comes through if you have any questions. So the next question, who do I email to get a Braille version of the consultation documents? Jess, they can email us, can't they, I believe?
Yes, absolutely. We're happy to have a look at any questions, any queries like that around versions of the consultation.
Yeah, so the email address is census2031.engagement@ons.gov.uk. But again, there'll be an email afterwards which you can reply and request a Braille version. So next question is, what's the difference between this consultation and the harmonisation consultation? So yeah, nice to just sort of clearly lay out what you're looking for, I suppose, in terms of a topic consultation response and a harmonisation consultation response if you're filling in both.
Sure. So the topic consultation, the primary purpose is to produce the evidence to support decisions on which topics should be included in the 2031 census. And that evidence is then used to kind of support our next steps for census. We also, within that, will be asking for evidence to support prioritisation of admin data and more widely harmonised standards. And I'll pass to Alice to explain the GSS consultation.
Yeah, of course. So the aim of the GSS ethnicity consultation is less broad than the topic consultation, which obviously asks questions on a number of different topics. So the purpose of the ethnicity consultation or ethnicity harmonisation consultation is to gather views specifically on additional tick box response options which might be required for the new harmonised standard for data collection on ethnicity. And as I said before, we would encourage anyone who is using data on ethnicity to complete both consultations because each does have a completely different scope and therefore ask slightly different questions as well.
Thanks, Alice and Michelle. So can you share a link for the GSS consultation webinar? Yes, we can. We'll put it in the email that we share afterwards, which will have like the topic consultation link, the ethnicity harmonisation consultation link, everything that's been mentioned on this call. So that it's all in one email for everybody. Next question is, will there be other harmonisation consultations or is there just one on ethnicity? Alice.
So at this point in time, we're only running a consultation on ethnicity within the harmonisation space. There's a lot of research that goes into the review and creation of harmonised standards, and so consultations may or may not be used in the future if and when we decide to review other topics and standards.
Thank you, Alice. So can you please send details on the ethnicity harmonisation consultation? Yes, of course, we'll put it in the email that we send to all attendees afterwards. Are you intending to continue with your consultation working groups on particular topics with those outside ONS with particular expertise? Jay, is this one or Jess, perhaps?
Yeah, I could probably pick up on that. I think I probably covered this a little bit earlier, hoping that I've got the question right here, but essentially we are still kind of working through what engagement looks like for the census, like I already mentioned, but all of these working groups, expert groups, advisory groups are absolutely invaluable. So we will be looking to set something up. We just don't know what exactly that looks like yet. But if you are interested in being part of any groups or working with us throughout this census design, please do get in touch with us by the email that I'm sure will pop up on the screen before the end of the call as well, because we've pointed to it quite a lot. So absolutely, please do reach out to us and we're happy to start conversations because those groups are really valuable. It's just about shaping what works best at this stage.
Thanks, Jess. So the next question is, possible to bring the different censuses into alignment in terms of how we can work with the data once it is published. Scotland Flexible Table Builder is great. So I think this is about comparability of different censuses. Jay, is that one to come to you?
Yeah, so as I said, we're working really closely with the devolved governments to make sure that we're aligned. For more recent censuses, we've worked closely on the preparation, design, build, test and delivery and the publication of outputs. So where we can align to make it easier for users to look at data across the UK and not just individual nations, then we will do that. It's not always possible, but where we can't do that, we'll obviously work together to come up with the best solution possible.
Thanks, Jay. So can large communal establishment data, specifically prisons data, be stripped out of the local data? And then there's a comment here that says large prisons skew sensitive data. Jay, is that one for you or Michelle?
Yeah, I think I can answer this one. I think it's very similar to, we've talked about the output consultations that will likely follow the topic consultations. So once we know the topics and we've developed the questions, we'll then be asking how people need the data and why. So specifically, this is very specific question, but there'll be other very specific needs as well. And so we'd ask that you make that really clear, potentially in the topic consultation if you need particular data, but also when we come out and consult on outputs as well.
Thank you, Jay. So the next question is the term user need be interpreted broadly? For example, where primarily others will use the data in response by academics or representative organisations. So yeah, if maybe we talk a little bit about what we mean by user need. Michelle.
So yes, I would say we want to understand exactly how you use the data, whether that's directly from ONS or through other publications or outputs, and how you are using it and why. So yes, I would say it is a really broadly, what do you need the data for and what the impact is. If you can provide that information, all of that will be considered as part of that evaluation.
Thanks, Michelle. So next question is about AI. So bearing in mind the advances in AI over the last 10 years, would there be issues around data usage, data users and relevance in a quick moving world? Jay, can you talk a little bit about that or answer that question?
Yeah, I can. So excuse me, for the topic consultation, responses will not be analysed by AI themselves. But AI may be utilised to automate certain administrative processes, such as sorting or selecting responses based on key information. And we're likely to consider whether AI can also be used to support quality assurance of the work as well. So we're still only in the early stages of considering what role AI might be able to play in the census more broadly. And any potential uses will be tested and subject to assurance before they're implemented as well, and would be subject to government policy for AI use in the public sector. But obviously this is a fast moving area and it's absolute priority for us to uphold trust and quality while thinking about improvements to the efficiency of our processes.
Thank you, Jay. So what topics are covered in the consultation? Michelle, I'll come to you.
Sure. So the topic consultation questionnaire asks about data for data usage for each of the sort of 13 topic groupings that were included within the 2021 census. And many of these, as I explained, for housing have the multiple sort of subtopics, such as number of rooms, tenure, type of heating, among others. But that we're not limiting you to cover those topics. There is the opportunity to answer about any new topics that you feel would be needed or for the 2031 census. And there are a couple of topics which haven't been asked about before, which are included, which include type of health condition, impairment and disability, and also income. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Michelle. So the next one says there's a very limited question on population bases. Why is this partial question in here? You'll be consulting on geographies and bases later, won't you? Michelle, are you able to sort of touch on this?
So yeah, there is only a limited question, but there is the opportunity to put all of the information you need, I hope, within that. But thinking about outputs, yes, we're likely to be covering these things within the output consultation later, but we are keen to understand if you have, early, if you have any, input on how these things have worked for you or haven't worked for you based on the 2021 census outputs.
Thanks, Michelle. So next question is about working for ONS. So it says, being a social science and criminology student, how best is it to join an organisation such as the ONS, whether through employment, voluntary opportunities or an internship? Jess, I'll come to you for that question.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I think we've had a couple of similar questions and comments in about being involved in the census or ONS more widely. I would always suggest just keeping an eye on civil service jobs. Anything that becomes available is posted on there. We don't have an idea about what vacancies will be available and when, but I would absolutely recommend signing up to notifications on civil service jobs. However, if you have got any questions, please do send an email to our Census 2031 inbox and we'd be happy to direct to our recruitment teams, etc.
Thank you, Jess. So will ONS community engagement teams send these opportunities for working groups, especially for organisations working with underrepresented communities? Jess, I'll come to you for that question.
Yes, absolutely. Short answer is yes, we will certainly be reaching out to existing organisations that we've worked with before. We absolutely want representation across these working groups for different communities and charities and voluntary sector. So yeah, absolutely, we will be reaching out to existing contacts to get involved in these groups as and when we kind of shape what those look like. But again, if you are particularly keen to be involved, please do reach out to us and we'll make sure you're on our distribution lists to hear when we do set these things up.
Thank you, Jess. Will there be restrictions on the ways data may be used once it is published? For example, using generative AI for data analysis? Jay, I'll come to you.
So accessibility will be something that we'll be looking at when we're thinking about the outputs and when we're consulting on that. So I can't answer this right now, but we wouldn't restrict unless there was a really good reason to. Census data is for everybody. It's not just for ONS or for the government. It's why it's such a big collection. So where we can make it readily available, we would do.
Thank you, Jay. What is the timeline for the gender harmonisation review? Alice?
Yeah, so our prospective timelines for finishing kind of qualitative research for the development of the updated sex and gender harmonised standards. So autumn 2026, we're looking at online kind of self-completion mode, and then spring 27 that we'll be publishing a paper on self-completion mode as well. The standards will be published kind of thereafter, after pending kind of quantitative review and relevant approval and sign off as well.
Thank you, Alice. Does the harmonisation consultation cover language as well, such as a range of languages being used as the main one in the UK? I'm sure this would be useful. Alice?
Yeah, so the ethnicity kind of as a topic sits within a wider kind of suite of cultural identity questions, and they all kind of interlink with one another. But the consultation itself does focus solely on ethnicity. We are testing our questions on ethnicity with speakers of different languages as well.
And I can just cover, as I said, yeah, there is a section on the topic consultation to explore needs for the different main language, and the definitions around that if you would like to fill out the topic consultation.
I'll be coming back to you as well, Michelle, for this next question, which is, can I complete the consultation on paper instead of online and send it back to you?
So yeah, we would strongly recommend that you complete the consultation online because it's quite long, and that will enable you to be routed to the answer only where you have used or plan to use the topics. However, You can respond by post by downloading the questionnaire from the Consultation System Space webpage, and physical copies are available if you get in touch with us if you want one sent out. And those, as well as kind of large print, and others are available. So do email us or send a request by post, and we can make sure you get a copy if that's required.
Thank you, Michelle. Next question is, can you touch on the mandatory nature of the census? Sanctions is a further sort of question here. Jay?
Yeah, so as you've already said, the census is mandatory and the vast majority of responses are received without follow-up. But we're really careful to ensure everyone has ample opportunity to respond. And then ultimately there is a £1,000 fine for non-completion. And in the past, a small number of cases have been taken to court each census.
Thank you, Jay. Will the consultation response be presented by the different regions to find regional trends and preferences? Michelle?
So there will be all sorts of ways at grouping and being able to analyse the consultation responses. I think that will be covered within the output consultation, but if you would like to provide information, we do have some around the different geographic levels that were provided in the 2021 census, and whether they fit your needs. So please do let us know. But yes, there will be the opportunity to look at oh, sorry, the consultation responses. I'm getting confused. So we're talking here mostly about England and Wales census, but we will consider and we will be sharing in both our full consultation responses that are available. So we will do some moderation on those. And we will publish our kind of stronger user needs based on if that's a local authority, where that might be, and we will reflect on that through our consultation evaluation. So I would, although we don't plan to necessarily break up the responses to the consultation by region, there is likely to be some consideration based on the kind of particularly around local authorities and who's responded, and whether that need is across England and Wales or whether that need is in a specific area. I hope that answers it.
Thanks so much, Michelle. I'm conscious we only have 1 minute left, so I'll just cover the last question, and then I think I'll draw this webinar to a close. So, will the GSS consultation also produce a final conclusion / recommendation of tick boxes in 2026? So, Alice, I think this one is for you.
Thanks, Sam. So following the consultation, we'll analyse responses in line with our evaluation criteria. The evaluation will be kind of further informed by evidence gathered from other research that the team is undertaking, and we do expect to announce the response options for the new standard later in 2026. I know we're coming up to time, but if you do have any more questions about the ethnicity consultation, then please do join us on Monday, and we'll be happy to answer any more questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Alice. And I can see there's a couple more questions, but yeah, I'll just go to the next slide now, which will show you our email address where you can submit questions that weren't answered. But I just want to say thank you so much for all of your questions, all of your engagement today, and I really want to thank our panel for responding. Before we close, I want to remind you about the webinar that Alice has mentioned, which is about the ethnicity harmonisation consultation. As Alice said, hosted by the Government Statistical Service, it's taking place on Monday, the 17th of November, and you can register to attend this through Eventbrite. We'll circulate a link alongside the other key links that we've mentioned today. So before you go, we'd be really grateful if you could share how you found today's event. This can be done on Slido, page that you've been using already, where our quick survey will now be live. Thanks again to our speakers, and thank you to everyone for joining this session today. I will now draw this to a close. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.